So everybody wants to be a real estate investor, but being a real estate investor is not as easy as you think, specifically being a home flipper. I've been flipping houses for 7 years, and I definitely have some tips and tricks that can help you make this a very smooth process. Recently, I've been noticing that a lot of people have really been running into some issues because they're skipping a lot of the fundamentals when it comes to flipping homes, because they want to make the house look pretty, but they're not taking care of a lot of the mechanics that really help houses to sell. So I'm going to give you guys some of those tips that could make your life easier, number one, and that could make your houses sell a lot faster. All right, so let's start off with the core dynamics of what you should be starting off with first, all right? A lot of people want to make the house look good, and we should definitely be making the house look good, right? I totally agree with that. But let's start off with the things that matter the most to people. Number one is going to be the electrical. Let's make sure all of the electrical is in place. One of the number one things that I noticed that a lot of people miss is going to be just making sure the electrical is working. A lot of times I see that a lot of the outlets are not grounded. People haven't checked the electrical box. As long as plugs are working, people think that things are okay. We want to make sure that we have GFCI plugs in the designated spots where they should be. They should be anywhere where you have water, like in your kitchen and in your bathrooms and stuff like that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're taking care of those items. Those are very important to buyers. You have your outlets that are outside. We want to make sure that those are working as well. Number two, and I know this is a big expense, but it's so important to people. Number one, because insurance in Louisiana is crazy and is a big factor, but the roof. Is the roof in good condition? If it is older than 10 years old, I would say 10 to 15 years old, we may want to go ahead and get it changed. I've noticed a lot of people have been running into roof issues when it comes to the flip properties. And because the roof is such a big expense, we want to cut that cost a lot of times. But a lot of times when you get under contract, that's going to be the main thing that puts you in a position where you're not going to be able to sell a property. A lot of people will forego mostly interior cosmetics if you have a newer roof on a property. So just make sure that you budget for a newer roof or to make new roof repairs if you can possibly do something like that. And one of the other things that people look at a lot is the HVAC, right? It gets so hot here in Louisiana. So the last thing that people want to do is come in and have to change a whole HVAC system. So if you have an HVAC system that is working properly, let's make sure that we get it serviced. We get the evaporator coils clean. We check the furnace in the attic, make sure that that's looking right. A lot of times when we go into attics, we see a lot of rusted pans. So you can get those pans changed out. It's because cosmetically it looks bad. There may not be anything wrong with it, but when buyers go in and inspectors notate it, it just really looks bad, and it makes people afraid because they just think that something is wrong with it. So you may want to go ahead and just spend that money and get it changed out. And then plumbing as well. Recently, I had a seller that had to change out a pipe. The pipe was actually cracked. So whenever you're doing your plumbing on your property, you may want to go ahead and get a pipe inspection to check that, because most buyers are getting pipe inspections now in the local area, and this pipe was cracked. So that was a big expense that they weren't expecting, that they had to go ahead and get taken care of. Take a look at that hot water heater. Is it leaking? Are the CPR valves installed properly? So those are things that we want to take a look at, because those are big expenses. All right, so we talked about our main components. We had our roof, we had our electrical, we had our plumbing, right? Another thing that you want to do, another precaution that you can take, is that you can have a pre-home inspection. So once you have all of your things done, you're completely finished with a home, you can get the home pre-inspected. Just like a buyer will have a home inspection, you can do a pre-home inspection where you have a home inspector come out and do a home inspection on a property. This is a great thing to do. I've done it on all of my flips, because you get the inside scoop on what has not been done properly at your property or what you may have missed. If you're doing the work yourself, sometimes you know what has been done, but a lot of times we are hiring subcontractors, right? So a lot of times our contractors may go in and try to skip some things or take some shortcuts, and we don't know. So a home inspection is going to reveal those things to us, and we can address those things before we actually put it on the market. And then when we put it on the market, we are confident in knowing that the property is in A1 shape, and that helps us to actually sell it faster. And my very last tip would be to know your numbers. So what I mean by that, most investors are going to calculating on a flip what it costs to renovate the property, what it costs to purchase the property. One of the things I think a lot of people miss out on, and especially when you're first starting out, they really miss out calculating the holding cost of a property and their realtor expenses, especially if you're going to use a realtor to market and sell your property, right? So holding costs are going to be the expenses that it takes to actually hold it. So if you have a mortgage on a property, if you're paying any interest on that property, also your utilities, your maintenance of the property as well, and just different things like that. But then you also are going to have your realtor fees. So whatever you're going to sell that property for, which is your ARV, your after repair value. So say for instance, if the house is $250,000, multiply that times 6%. Usually realtor fees are going to be about 5 to 6%, depending on what you negotiate with your realtor. So you want to negotiate, not negotiate, but you want to put those fees into your costs. And I noticed a lot of times investors don't do that. So at the end, they really think that they're making a profit, but in actuality, they're almost breaking even, or sometimes they're even losing or just getting their money back. So those are a lot of my tips. Those are a lot of mistakes that I've been seeing people really, what's the word I want to say? I've really been seeing people lose when it comes to that, and just inexperience when it comes to that, because a lot of people think that is a big money grab when it comes to real estate flipping. And when it comes to real estate flipping, it is a big money grab. It is a way to make a lot of money, but you want to take into account the things that are going to make you successful with those. And those are a few of the tips that I have. So if you're a real estate investor, I would love for you to chime in on this video and give some tips that you have. Those are just a few of the things that I have. If you want to know more, if you're flipping a house and you need to hire a realtor, or you need some advice on what you should be doing, you could definitely give me a call, respond to this video, send me an email, a text, or shoot me over a DM. And I hope it was helpful. Let me know if it was helpful. If it was not helpful, you can let me know as well.